Okay, we are live here now on another episode of Breaking Into Cybersecurity, and I'm super excited to introduce our guest today, Antonette Caldwell, who is here to share her journey. Antonette, welcome, welcome.
Hi, I'm glad to be here today. Yeah.
And then, just for everybody else's sake who's tuning in, thank you, by the way. But also, I'm filling in for Chris today. I'm Leah McLean. I work with him in the broader community sense as we're trying to help others to break in. And he's out enjoying a lovely vacation this week. And I think if you follow him on LinkedIn, you'll see that he's near a beach and enjoying some smoked old fashions. So, yes, I'm jealous, but good for him. So Antonette, just to kind of kick us off here, currently you're at General Dynamics Information Technology, or GDIT, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what
Yes.
do you do there? What's your role?
Yes. So currently I work as a cyber engineer, and just basically on the GRC side. So really just the governance, the risk, and compliance side. And really I just do the policy work, and we focus really more on the DevSecOps space. And so the program that I'm supporting, they don't really have anything like that in place. So we're trying to get that work out for them. So that's what I'm currently doing at GDIT.
That's awesome. Okay, before we kind of go back from the beginning, right, on your overall career and getting to your point to break into cybersecurity, when you started at GDIT, because I think you've been there about 5 or 6 years, right, or close to 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
What was your current role or what was the role that you entered in at?
Yes. So when I started at GDIT, I started as a customer service, and at that time it was very difficult to try to find the particular role that I was looking for, and it was really, just at that time it was CSRA, and then GDIT took over about a couple years later. So I came on as a customer service, and I tried to reach out to certain managers and team leads and whatnot that they were in the security space, just to get an idea of, hey, how can I enter this particular role. And so I was told that at that time they were doing like some type of revamp, and they wanted to have everybody start from customer service and then to kind of work your way up. So from then on, I went on to the service desk. And then when I got on the service desk, I had this great opportunity to enter in an internship program. It was a like a trial, and so me and two other people, we were selected. And then and then that's when I met. Actually, that's when I met Josh Copeland, and so he was a really great individual, and with his manager at that time, and he was really great on trying to make sure that we got access to all this particular information and whatnot. Um, um, and to be honest, I was a little bit scared that I might have to go back to the service desk, and we were kind of like pleading with him, "Oh, please, please." But we actually move on to the sysadmin team, and so that's when I really got more exposure to system administration, just really doing like operating systems, hardening, making sure that they were up to date, and I was able to access the we had access in AWS and Azure, so I got a chance to play with it a little bit from time to time. And from there, it was just after that, I found out about a team that was doing some type of security work, and I got a chance to talk to the manager at the time. And once I figured out what he was doing, what type of things that they were looking for, just to try to pinpoint, hey, what type of skills that I felt like was that can work for the team that they have. And we were like pretty much on the same wavelength, and he was agreeing with some of the things that I want to do, and he said, hey, let's join my team. So that's when I really changed into cybersecurity. And so from then on, that's when I did cybersecurity for just a regular like GRC, and then now it's specific on DevSecOps.
Well, I absolutely love your story. And to see that you did that at one company, right? You transitioned from one role that was not in cyber into cybersecurity. It's amazing because I know we mentor a lot of folks, career transitioners and other trying to break in. And a lot of times, if they're at a company already, we tell them if the company's big enough and promotes being able to move around to do that, right? Sometimes it can be easier because you already know the business, right?
Yes.
And being a career transition myself, I can appreciate that and the work you've done so far to get to where you're at. That is just amazing. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Now take us back even further, right? Like start us off from, well, first of all, I think I saw you have your bachelor's in computer science, correct?
No, not at the moment. I'm currently working on it.
Okay.
I actually have an associate. I got that back in 2017. So what happened with me was I had some not a traditional journey like doing the school. I graduated back in 20 not to give my age, but I graduated back in 2008, and then I went to college. But then it wasn't really working out for me. I was trying to figure out like what I would like to do, and I was always interested in computer science, fundamentals and whatnot. And so I was pretty much doing like programming at that time. So I was already familiar with the Python and the scripting and whatnot. And I was also familiar with the HTML and CSS, just web development. But I had my daughter, and then I had my son, and then I got married. And so I came back to do my associate back in 2014. And then that's when I decided that I wanted to really go more into security role, specifically for penetration testing. And so I had a goal to do that, so I did a associate in network security, and then from then on came on to CSOA GDIT at that time. But I came back right now to do a bachelor degree, but I'm really taking my time on doing that. So I think I may be done maybe next year or the year after. I have time. So
No, that's wow. I just want to say wow because that's a lot that you're doing, right? And juggling, right, which we all have to do in life.
mhm.
You clearly are very motivated and desired, and you're pushing hard, and it's paying off. So be proud of yourself, one. But even before we go further into your background, right, and leading up to the things that you did to get yourself into cybersecurity, if you can what is your why, right? When you realized I want to go into cybersecurity, what was that why and the reason that pushed you into that direction?
Yes. So part of it was when like I said, I have some issues trying to figure out like what I want to do, and I had this conversation with somebody that I knew at that time, and he was just telling me, "Hey, you're gonna have to make a decision on what it is that you want to do. Just stick with that, and then just work your way through it." And to be honest with you, I actually thought about doing nursing, but then I realized when I did like a self reflection of myself and realized that I'm not, don't get me wrong, nursing is a great field. You get that opportunity to work with people, help people, or whatnot. But I felt like I didn't really have a good fit for it. So that's when I started doing research about like IT and then cybersecurity. And then at that time, hacker or whatnot, the ethical hacker, the words that we know now, it wasn't really talked about like that back then, back in 2013, 2014. You just knew that there were people that they were doing it. Some names that we know of, that grew up, that enter into that field of becoming a well-known people now, but back then they were doing like criminal activities of doing that, hacking, the banks and hacking the NSA and whatnot. But um, but I used to watch like crime shows, and my favorite were like the CSI. I was watching the Criminal Minds and whatnot, and there was a person on that show. She was a hacker, And that right there kind of like told me like, hey, I can do something like that. Like the way she was on that show, I related to like how she was feeling, the things that she wanted to do. So that brought me to that realization that yes, I do want to enter in IT, but how do I like pivot to really go more into cybersecurity to get to really what I'm trying to get to? So that kind of like sparked my interest in the IT. And just not to say that I want to, say, hey, I want to go and hack somebody's computer and say I'm a hacker now. But no, I just like the type of things that you do with the penetration testing. Part of it is because I was already programming, and usually to kind of like put that together, because a lot of it comes together after I've been working in IT. I noticed that a lot has some similarities, and you can kind of bring in what you already did before, and then just add it on to another particular area.
No, thank you for sharing all of that. And, I want to make a comment on something you mentioned, right? About really taking some time to figure out what it is you truly want to do and make it as your future career, right? And kind of the long-term longevity. And I just want to say out there, it's okay for folks to have several types of careers, right? And in fact, I find that those who I've met who have been in similar circumstances, and that's been their path, or myself included, who've had a couple transitions, you can bring so much experience and knowledge in those other roles and those other aspects of overall business that really I think people forget that that's a strength right there, right? And it's interesting you talked about the time frame in 2013 because, and the listeners out there viewing can, if they don't remember or weren't around then or whatever, they can just Google. There were some significant big companies, big brand names that were breached and hacked during that time frame. So we've definitely seen the evolution and unfortunately some of the landscape and thankfully you're now into cybersecurity and we can get more people in just by you sharing your story and encouraging others. So now going way back, right? Your background, when you first started your career and building up to that, but then more importantly, share with us the key things that you did in terms of really trying to understand cybersecurity, learn. Did you get any certificates or do any specific courses? If you can share what that was like for you and kind of what you carved out to learn and do to prepare yourself.
Yes. So when I first started my customer service role, and one of the things that I was told was the important at that time, it still is now, the CompTIA Security Plus. And so that was one of the certifications that I had to take to complete my associate degree, to after graduate, but also
I can tell you're good in cybersecurity because if you're multitasking and able to like hold down the fort with kids and everything else, that's a true strong trait right there. So I just want to say, you go, girl. I mean, working from home, right? The perils, we all are facing that, and we have since the pandemic. So,
right.
yeah,
And I'm trying to have my son like kind of leave the room, but she's playing on the phone. I'm
it's
like, oh
fine.
no.
No, this is all about like we're bringing the real life, right? We all
Yeah.
deal with this. So, yeah, it's important to see that that's part of it, right?
Mhm. So but I'm not a big uh, I'm not really a testing type person. When to be honest with you, I don't even have a Security Plus, and the only certification that I currently hold right now is the Azure Fundamentals, the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner, and and then a couple other small ones that were obtained while I was working while I've been working in my roles, but I've never obtained the Security Plus. It is one of my goals to actually take it. There are people out there that have been talking about um, obtaining it to try to meet the HR requirement, but I found that one of the things that I was doing when I first started my role is to try to figure out, okay, what it is that they're doing, what the teams that they have going on.
She's
And
juggling with info. This is who you
and
want on your team, putting out
yeah,
multiple fires on the side and still maintaining. Here you go. I think you're on mute.
yes, I am. I'm trying to tell my other one to come get him so I can just get 15 more minutes. So
Maybe those little ones, after hearing your story, will follow in your footsteps one day.
I hope so. There's a lot that I want to try to give to them because the way things were for me whenever I was younger, like there's a lot more opportunities for them than it was for me. So yeah, I do want to let them know. So
Well, I want to follow on to something you mentioned, right? When you were talking about some of the things that you were studying, and you said you don't have a Security Plus certification, but then you went into AWS and some other courses and such. And I just want everyone who's listening out there to know that, and you, like, that's okay, right? There are a lot of CISOs, believe it or not, that have gotten through their journey and career. One, some of them don't have a bachelor's degree, okay, or have any certificates, any. And we don't want those to be barriers to people into entry. I think we still have a lot of work to do. I think that it's great when people can get some certificates and or continue. We're always going to have to upskill, right? No matter what. But it's not a barrier to entry, and we need to continue the work out there to make sure that that is the case, right? Because not everyone can actually achieve all of that, but they can still be a really strong, good cybersecurity professional, practitioner, and leader. And so, you've now been in your role for how long exactly in the cybersecurity position?
So when I broke into cybersecurity, it was last year in August ish,
So
and
coming
so
up
right
on 12
now,
months.
yeah. So it's
Congrats.
actually been a year, and if I'm really honest with myself, when I was working as a sysadmin, I would say I already did a little bit of security, but not from a security perspective. Really, like security operations or whatnot. So I wasn't doing that. I was really more doing like sysadmin. And so I would really say maybe 2 years, but because we were already doing some type of security. And then if we really want to be more honest, really, I was already doing that when I was on the help desk, trying to do like password reset, making sure that people were able to access, their systems in time. And we'll have like issues about like permissions and making sure, hey, do you have the right permission to access particular resource? And so we just put in tickets. So, and I've seen some people, they will talk about that we are already using some form of security. It's just how much of it is it that you have in your particular role. So yes, officially it would be a year, but really I've already been doing it when I first entering the service desk. So
That's amazing. Again, congrats. It definitely shows your determination. So let's look at the comments real quick, right? Because I love this one from our friends at Whole Cyber Human Initiative. I hear that Antonette has offered to host some workshops on what she has learned. Now, obviously, I think you can be a great role model, and your your journey that helped you get there, and some of the things that you had to go through, maybe the good and the bad, right? But you got there, and that is helping so many others right now who are listening and tuning in, because not everyone's there yet, but we know they'll get there, right? And so when you hear the other stories and you can see people do go through struggles, but when they keep on the path, they eventually get in, right? And so would you be open to, or are you doing it now, continuing to share your story as well as what you've learned and what you're continuing to learn in a cybersecurity position, and that you will, because I think it's so important that we, continue to help others. And, you've broken in, you've done it, right? You're on your path forward. We'd love to see where that goes, or how you can help others if you have time. We know you have kids too.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That is one of the things that I want to do. I am trying to line it up to where when I have time, then I'll be able to provide that. But with the whole Human Cyber Initiative, I actually joined not too long ago, so I am working towards to offer some workshop when I can. I'm also offering to do mentoring as well. Just trying not to put too much on my plate, but we'll get there. So
Definitely you will. And we have someone else who commented and said, thank you for the tips. It was worthwhile joining in to listen to this emerging technology space. So Innocent, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. That's a cool name, by the way. Thank you for your comment and for joining in today. So Antoinette, given where that you've had, at least in a working role, your first year in, right, to the field, do you have a sense of the areas within cybersecurity that you want to focus on as you continue in your journey in advance? Because, as you know, it's vast, right? There's 54 some odd roles and different domains. But have you thought about some of those areas that you'd like to pursue?
Yes, I have a couple areas that I want to try to bring in together. I found that it's a little bit of a niche because depending on companies and the business use and what they're looking for, I might not really fit like what it is that you have, but I can kind of cover most of it. But since I've already been interested in really just become doing like penetration testing, I also want to tie in like with the cloud security and application security as well, but also take the perfect team approach too. Um, there are probably, I think, one or two or three individuals that I follow that is in that particular space, and
Okay, you might be having to manage the at-home duties. So I'm going to chime in and say cloud security. Well, I happen to just be very passionate about cloud security in general. And then I will say this as someone who's headed out to the AWS Reinforced Summit in Boston next week. But the migration and adoption of cloud, I mean, we've talked about cloud computing for years, right? And it was, at first slow moving, companies would talk about it, but it is happening. It is happening. It is real. It is going in that direction. And I think when you can have a background and excitement around the cloud security field specifically, because that is a different way of doing security, we need folks like that, right? That's we're moving in that direction. Whether anyone likes it or not, that's the path forward. But that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. And I just have a couple other things that I like to try to be in. And one of the things that I'm working on is the DevSecOps space. And so I am working with a startup company. And one of the things that we're doing is it's like a dojo type, and we're trying to teach people, hey, you can do this for free and whatnot. But this is also in addition to what I would like to offer in the workshop whenever we get there. Not too high technical, but just to kind of get you some type of familiarities with what to look for, because everybody always talk about like trying to get to know the fundamentals. So as long as you know the networking operating system, all the other things that I can't name, as long as you understand those, then opportunity will always be there for you, and it'll come easily for you later. So that's what I found like within the last 6 years. So
another very important area, DevSecOps, and one that, is fairly newer in terms of looking at that DevSecOps group, right? And companies really adopting that kind of a culture and actually making it come to fruition to have a formalized group and team in that area. So I will say, Whole Cyber Human Initiative, hopefully you heard that, because she's going to come teach some DevSecOps, which we know we need, and that's a growing field moving forward. And then with her cloud security background and skill sets, this is going to be exciting. Antonette, and based on your experiences, your journey, your path breaking in, and then being able to achieve it, what advice or guidance would you like to share with the audience who are in your shoes, trying to do the same thing and break into a cybersecurity career? What would you give for the advice to them?
Yes, so a couple that I would give, one would be is that, well, first off, I understand that IT and cybersecurity is a very big field, and so there are different types within IT and cybersecurity, and there are some overlaps, and so I would say just first off, just really just try to learn, just get familiar with the fundamentals. Just try to get your hand into each of those just to get an idea of, okay, what do you like and what you don't like. Once you figure that out, then while you're doing that, if you have a particular area that you want to target, then you can reach out to people who are in that space. However, I know that there are some people that have like particular titles that might not really match with what you that you're trying to go to. And so you may have to go and try to find like so many different people until you find that one person out of the whole group. But eventually you will find somebody. And so you can do like meetup. You can do. I know everybody doing Discord and Slack. There's always like events. There's always something going on out there. So one day, once you find what you're looking for, and you really want to pinpoint on that, then you really do get into some type of a relationship. Mentoring. You can do. If it's possible to do like shadowing. Whatever it is that works for you, by schedule wise as well as work for the other person, and then just kind of go from there. The other one that I would be is that I would say is the resume. Now, I changed my resume so many times, but I found it's easier for me now because I know the type of things that I'm looking for, and I know like certain keywords that some companies may be looking for as well. And while resume is important to try to do what you need to do when you go and apply, at the same time, it's really not. So as long as you're able to get in contact with like the hiring manager, or if you're trying to do like a startup, try to find a finder or whoever, just try to get yourself out there, and then somebody will notice at that point. So those are a couple of tips that I would give. Some of the others I won't repeat because everybody talked about it on LinkedIn. So, but those two
No,
are the main ones.
those are great tips, the top two, right? And I want to just say, because hopefully this is also inspiring for everyone. I love seeing comments like that. Juliet, thank you so much for joining us and for posting this too. She says, great story, encouraging and powerful. Thank you for sharing. Wishing you the best and more opportunities in your career journey. Aw, that's sweet. And Juliet, we're curious, are you in cybersecurity? Are you trying to break in? Would love to have you on the show too. But, this is one last question before we wrap up. How have you found the entire community, right? I mean, it's clear you've been doing quite a bit of, work with networking, meeting others in the field, right? And really putting that work in, right? Which is so critical to get to know others and kind of have that system of support and your peers as you're going along. We all need to rely on each other to ask questions and get help. And tap one another for the knowledge, right, and exchange and share. How have you found it's been working with the community and doing that? Have you been able to make some good relationships and continue to build them and grow?
Yes, I actually have. When I like a little bit late last year, I joined a cohort with Rapid Ascent, and then that's when I met Ken Underhill. And then Kent Underhill, introduced me to NATO, which was actually for Cloud Underground, and so that's how I got really more into the DevSecOps space. And so because of that relationship, that's what I found that I was able to put together. And but it's not even just that community. It's really, just from there, it just seems like it was so much easier to try to get in contact with, like-minded people, but also with different people from different areas, and then just to see, where they're coming from, because not everybody has the same path. I mean, I've talked to some people, they had like traditional, and then I have talked to other people who had was working like sales, and then they were able to pivot into IT. I've talked to people who were like teachers, they pivoted into that, and I even did the women in cybersecurity scholarship training twice, and I met like a lot of incredible women that were able to enter in where they are now, and they were, very new, but they were very passionate and very curious about what they were doing, and they were reaching up their ladder, and I was like, great. I just love like where they were coming from and where they're trying to get to. So yeah, so you just try to get involved, and I know there's so many. I think I'm in one, two. I'll just say maybe like less than 10, maybe less than 10. But the top 5 are the ones that I'm more involved in. So
that's a good start. So I know unsolicited tip, but you actually gave another tip. So I put a third one up there, right? Which is what Antonette also, her third tip was get involved in groups like Women in Cybersecurity and others, right? You are so right. That is very important to be involved. There are many, many out there. And, if you're trying to figure out which ones there are, or you don't know, reach out to us. Breaking into Cybersecurity, Whole Cyber Human Initiative, Antonette, we can help and give you a list to start with. Well, we are wrapping up on time here. I want to thank everyone who's tuned in live with us today for your comments and for sharing the encouragement. We wish you all the best of luck. Antonette, you specifically, congrats again, girl. You did it. You're in. We're so happy to have, and I'm going to say this from being female myself, we're so happy to have another female break into cybersecurity. You've got a diverse background that has no doubt propelled you to this point and will propel you even further. And just a wonderful story. And you're very positive. I love that. So keep up the great work. Reach out to us if you need anything. And thank you so much for sharing your story with everybody. We look forward to seeing you continue on that journey of yours.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone. Bye.